All right, you guys, we're gonna get a little controversial today. Do it for the plot, as the kids say.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What? Obviously, talking about money, it can be complicated regardless of the topic, but one of my most hated pieces of financial advice by far is when I tell people to combine their bank accounts with their spouse. I know. I mean, what a crazy suggestion that is. And maybe, we can go even further on the topic, but obviously there are some exceptions to this rule, okay? So we'll just say it off the bat, okay? If you are in an abusive relationship, if you've dealt with financial infidelity, if you're married with someone with a crippling addiction that they're not taking care of, there are certain circumstances for sure that you want to protect yourself. So I'm not trying to get you back to like the 1950s for the heck of it, okay? All I'm saying, though, is if you're sharing a bed, if you're sharing genetics with little kids running around, you can share a bank account. And I am a firm believer in combining accounts with your spouse when you get married, and I think it's one of the best things you can do financially, emotionally, and even spiritually. So let's talk about the why behind this tip and see if some of the skeptics out there may have a little change of heart. Plus, if you stick around to the end, I'll share the one account that I don't think you should combine with your spouse. So stay tuned. All right, so let's start off strong. The first reason why you should combine your bank accounts with your spouse is because it's more financially beneficial. So regardless of religion or culture or even just marriage, it's literally proven in the numbers. So at Ramsey Solutions, we've seen time and time again through our research and through real people that we talk to on the Ramsey Show all the time, are couples who, when they are on the same page financially, they reach their goals faster. When two people have a united purpose, there's more accountability, there's more discipline, and if you're both making income, it's more money coming together. And so when you look to say, hey, we are just gonna get there faster and do things bigger and better, when we say, yeah, we are all on the same team, let's put it all in one pile, figure out what we want to do with that pile of money, and you get there so much faster, okay? So that's like rule number one, reason number one. Now, reason number two, why I think it's wise to combine your finances with your spouse is just for the practicality and simplicity of life. It's way easier to do a budget together when you're functioning out of one account. And budgeting is literally one of the first steps that you need to take when it comes to winning with your money. So again, if you're joining forces, but you're constantly trying to figure out, well, this is your purchase, that's mine, comes out of here, there. I mean, who has time for that? I can barely get my kids out the door for school, let alone try to split every little purchase between me and Winston. And was that fun money? Was that for the house? Are we both going to use it? No. So listen, when you just say, hey, we are all going to function out of one account, it just makes life easier. It really does. And you can still have your independence when you're doing that because you're not having to ask, for every single little purchase you make, you have a budget and it says, yeah, the Rachel line item. So when I go get my nails done, I'm not texting Winston is it okay if I I have money to spend that month, so I'm going to spend it. And if I want more or need more for something, I text them and we talk about it. Or we look to say, hey, what's going on here? Again, communication there is so key. But any secrecy, of any kind, is an enemy of unity. So be open and be honest with your spouse, even with the little things. All right, the third benefit of combining finances with your spouse has to do with your emotional health as a couple. So it may sound silly, but I promise you guys, sharing the ins and outs of your spending can actually create a lot of intimacy between you. It can be very vulnerable to show somebody, hey, here's what I spent my money on, and here's how much I spent. So again, being unified together and actually saying, hey, we can learn from each other. Like Winston's natural tendency is to save. I can learn from that. My natural tendency is to spend, and he can learn from that and have some fun in life, right? But we want to support each other in who we are, but also know that your spouse can teach you something. So whether you're a spender or a saver, a nerd or a free spirit, everyone has their preferences when it comes to money. But having that built-in accountability with somebody and that they know the ins and outs of your life and what's going on, including your money, that creates a deep, deep connection. And the fourth benefit of combining your bank account with your spouse is better communication skills. So kind of what we just talked about, but again, when you're looking through life, which money is a tool for your life, you end up talking more. And Winston and I, we find constantly that when we look at next month's budget, we're looking at our calendar as well. We're like, okay, we're going here, here, here. Spring break's coming up in March. Okay, we're going to be looking at that. How much we want to spend on food. How many times do you think we're going to go out to eat? And that's going to play into what food we need to buy at the grocery store, what our trip's going to look like. I mean, it ends up just being about life. And so when you really do start to communicate about life and your money, you guys, there is a unity that is created. And so that communication of combining accounts, working out of the same bucket, it helps with just communicating about your overall life in general. Okay, here's what it looks like practically speaking to combine your accounts. Number one, combine your short-term savings. So your emergency funds, any sinking funds you have, any funds that are out there that are short-term savings, that are in money market accounts or high-yield savings or a savings account at your bank, combine those together. Because again, you may realize, oh my gosh, we have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. If we come all together and we put all of our money, high five and hallelujah. I mean, it's amazing. And number two, combine your checking accounts. And this is what we were talking about earlier, that when you're living life, but you're seeing yourself as one, you're working out of one budget and one account, it makes life not just easier, but you end up having more unity with your spouse. So if you've not downloaded Every Dollar, do that, because Winston and I, we have the same login information. So our budgets look the exact same on our phones. If one of us makes a change, it comes up on the others, and we're able to really see where we're at financially, and it is so helpful. All right, number three, and this one might surprise you, but there is one account that I recommend that you build completely separate from your spouse, and that is retirement. Yes. There are so many great advantages, especially with taxes and stuff, when you say, hey, I have my own account with my own income and I'm going to grow it over here, and then you get to double it with your spouse by them doing one as well. It works best for everyone. So do not combine retirement or say, oh, one of you just does retirement. If you're both working, especially, be able to say, hey, we're going to both build retirement, and that will double your retirement when it gets to that point in life. All right, before we wrap up, I want to address 2 common complaints I hear. So again, I hear y'all all the time have the drama, all the things about combining accounts. So number one, the first one I always hear is, how do I buy my spouse a gift? Oh no. Well, first and foremost, if it's Christmas or an anniversary and you know you're gonna buy a gift, take out a Visa gift card. Be like, yeah, here's a couple $100 or whatever you're gonna spend on a gift. Then take that money, buy a Visa gift card with it, then they don't know where you're spending it. Or if you want it to be an ultra surprise, if you have a friend or a parent who will give you the money to buy the gift, and you said, yep, I will Venmo you, or here's a check for it, old-fashioned, write a check, but don't cash it, or I won't Venmo you until I actually give the gift. And again, there's trust in the relationship and all of that. Do that. Winston did that for me on our last anniversary. Completely surprised me. We said we weren't doing gifts. I was like, how did you do it? And his friend bought the gift. Winston Venmo'd him that night. And it was great. So there's ways around it, okay? Don't let gifts and all of that hold you up in keeping accounts separate, okay? Combine them and work your way through it. Now, the second one is, how do I get my spouse on board if they disagree with how I'm wanting to handle money? So this is a big one too. So if you and your spouse are not on the same page when it comes to money, I would recommend sitting down, first explaining your why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to combine accounts? Why do you want to get out of debt? Why do you want to budget? What's your why? And hopefully, if you're in a somewhat healthy relationship, your spouse is going to hear that and you guys are going to have dialogue about it. Also, if it's something you want to do, like a big goal, like getting out of debt, I always tell people to go ahead and like put the numbers out there. Go ahead and build your debt snowball or a budget. Go ahead and create the budget and present it to them, not as like, this is what we're going to do, but hey, here's what this looks like. Can we sit down and have a conversation about it and actually kind of look at the numbers? Because sometimes it's way less intimidating when you actually see facts on paper versus like this idea in your head. But again, you guys, it is so, so crucial. Now, if they are completely opposed, won't even talk about it, I'm telling you, that's when I would bring in a third party. I would go to a counselor or a therapist, because that's probably the mindset in other areas of your marriage, which could indicate, hey, there's some issues there that we need to talk through. It may not just be about money. It may be about other things as well. Okay, so that is why I believe what I believe when it comes to your money. Now, if you still don't want to do it and you're going to live your own life, that's great. You're an adult. You get to make your decisions. But instead of venting in the comment section, why don't you check out another recent video I did where I share 5 crucial money questions to ask your spouse. So I will link that in the description and let me know what you think. So remember, you guys, to take control of your money and create a life you love.